In today's Luthiers Lunch Break, Dave from Footstep Guitars shows us some of his homemade luthier tools. Lars Grape is back with his series on designing and making a multiscale guitar. We've got Chris from Garland String Instruments giving us some tips using everyday objects. Scott from SBH Guitars is back with the next stage in his journey into guitar building. Moon Guitars gives us an awesome tip for guitar wiring, and Mr. Glyn's Pickups has returned to show us just how amazing pickups really are. Nils from Nisse Guitars has got a simple hack for when you're restoring or changing your tunematic bridges, and I've got a tip for drilling string through bridges. Ratzin is here with an amazing paint job to show you. We've got another short compilation from the Guitar Builders Collective chat, and we're going to end with some information on this year's Yurs Cup, which is about to enter its final month. Now, just before we start this episode, I want to let you know that you can find links to all of the different contributors in the video description below. Links off to their YouTube channels and their other social media pages and websites. There's also a link to a Luthiers Lunch Break playlist. You can subscribe to that to see all the past episodes and have notifications of the new ones. And if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to hit like, share this with your friends. You can give me a super thanks if you really like what I'm doing. But what would be great is if you subscribe to my channel, Devil & Sons Guitars. Okay, let's get on with the show.
Hi, I'm Glyn from Mr. Glyn's Pickups, and I want to talk to you about pickup winding wire. So it's the wire that goes around a bobbin to make a pickup. Now, do you see that island out there? That's a wire island. It's 1.2 kilometers away, and a wire from here to there is the right length for winding a Strat pickup. So it's so fine, that wire will all fit on that bobbin and fit in this cover. Not only that, but if you look up the beach, halfway up the beach, don't know if you can see it, but halfway up the beach, there's a river coming out. And that's just over 2 kilometers away. That length of wire would fit on 2 of these bobbins, which would fit in this cover to make a humbucker. Oh, pickup's cool.
Alrighty, I am working on electronics. My buddy Joe said I should share more behind the scenes tech tips type stuff. So, we're wiring up the control plate here. It's got a 5-way super switch for 2 humbuckers, there's the bare knuckles. You can get this diagram right off the bare knuckles website. But you'll have multiple sides here where you need to connect your hot wire to multiple lugs. You can wrap the end of the wire through all 3 of them. I think that's messy and it makes it a nightmare if anyone wants to change the pickups later. So what I do instead is make these nice little leads, basically, that make it super easy. So you only have to wire the actual hot lead into one of the legs here from all this extra material from your capacitor. If you're going to snip it back here anyway, you're going to have all this extra. Just bend the ends, tuck them in nice like that, and then solder it. Of course it doesn't want to focus, but yeah, there you go. There's my tip for cleaner soldering. You're welcome.
My radiusing blocks. Now, this is one of them. Basically, got a strip of sandpaper, a strip of 60 grit, piece of ply, piece of hardboard, something that's not too thick that will bend, and a couple of offcuts of wood. This is taken from the end of a bit of MDF, I think. So basically, I just glue and screw those there. Also have a bit of foam. This is from packing, and I'll just cut that just to fit in between. Just find that this helps a bit support the wood there. That goes on the top there, that glues there, and that's essentially it. But I'll show you how you get the radius. Okay, so I've got a rough radius there. And what I can do now is just loosen those screws off to adjust it to the radius that I need. I'm using 16 for my guitar. That's pretty good. Now all I need to do is stick the sandpaper on the top. When you're sticking sandpaper on these levelling beams, to be perfectly honest with you, you only need the masking tape on one side. And there we have it, a radiusing beam set at 16 inches. Done. Now then, when you're putting frets in a fretboard with binding, you have to remove some of the tang in order that the fret sits in between the two strips of binding. Now, to do this, you can either get some clippers or to clip that off, some commercial things, or you can make one of these, a fret filer. And I thought I would just quickly show you how I made that one and how it works. So first you need a couple of offcuts. These are a bit of beech from a kitchen cupboard, I believe, and so you need a long piece which is about, I don't know, 8 inches long, 20 centimeters, and a smaller piece to go on the top. So what I'm going to do now is just very roughly mark where the center is of this, and again, it's not that important. So just quickly draw a line down there, draw a line down there, and draw a line down there. Next thing we need to know is what the width of the frets are, and according to this I'm using, well, it looks like it's 2.5 mil. Okay, a 2.5 mil drill bit may not be something you've got lying around, so I'm using a 3 mil drill bit here. You've also noticed that I've cut this down from 6 mil to 4 mil, simply because I want the drill to go all the way through, and it wasn't going to go through 6 centimetre, I should say. Anyway, I'm now going to drill a hole straight through that. Now I'm going to carefully cut down to the actual hole from the top. So there we are, I've gone through, that's it. Okay, now I need to chisel out a channel across this line, so I'm just going to mark it with a pencil. That should do. I mean, it's best to do it the size of your chisel, to be honest with you, your smallest chisel. Okay, I'm going to cut that with a saw first. So you need to saw down to the bottom of the hole. Chisel's wider than my hole. Right, let's do it again. Do another line. See, I make this up as I go along. I think that may do. Important thing is, can we get the fret wire into there? And we can. Okay, let's just clean that off. So the fret wire pokes through, so you can just see the tang there. And in fact, I actually need to take that down a little bit lower. Now, just to finish it off, I just mount it on top of this piece of wood because it's easier to hold that in the vise or to clamp it down, whichever you prefer. So I've just drilled a couple of holes through and I've countersunk them there. Okay, it's a bit rough and ready, but there we have it. Now then, how do we use it? I'll show you. Okay, so now we just slide the fret into the slot there with the tang sticking up, and that the saw cut supports it, and then it's just a question of filing the tang off with your Wilco file. soon as you start filing wood, you know you've done it. There you go. I've got a couple more for you this week. They're quite short. One comes from the design of the current guitar I'm building, and then there's one or two related to a guitar which I made a while ago and I'm selling to a customer. So without further ado, let's get into it. Here's one using office stationery supplies. I've got a design here which I need to transfer onto the wood. This is half size. These are going to be sound holes on my latest acoustic guitar, and they're in the form of a spiral, like you'd find in some shells, like, you know, ammonites or something like that. I've printed it out on tracing paper, and I'm going to use tracing paper and carbon paper to actually transfer the design. So you can see I've already done it on this side. So that's what we're aiming for, and a symmetrical result on this side with center line lined up and the height correct. Just put the carbon paper down, and there we have two symmetrical curves. I've got one of my parlour guitars here which I built a few years ago, and it's been sold. So before delivering it to the customer, or in fact the customer's coming to pick it up, I'm just going over it and giving it a bit of a polish and stuff. And one of the things I'm doing is conditioning the fretboard. And for some years now I've used this butcher block conditioner, which I bought in the US, but I'm sure they, you know, similar things exist everywhere. And I mean, this is basically a lifetime supply. It works really well for any hardwood, I think. And you just apply, you know, in the usual way. I'm going to polish the frets as well, but I'll put this stuff on first, so if any metal polish does get onto the fretboard when I wipe it off, it won't be ingrained into the wood. Here's a quick look at the fretboard after I've polished the frets and put the butcher block conditioner on it. You can see it comes up really nicely. Just out of interest, this I call my rose Sala because I had to put a little inlay on this guitar because I dropped something from the roof of the garage, or it was hanging up and it fell on the top of the guitar while I was building it, and of course left a ding right in the line of sight of the player. So I had to find an inlay that would cover it, and so I did this rose. There we are. And for polishing the body of the guitar, I use these cotton wool pads, which I just buy in the supermarket. Just soft cotton. What's really good about them is that they are very, very soft. They don't leave any scratches anywhere, and they don't leave lint either. I mean, if you catch them on a bit of, you know, sticking out fret end or something, then of course they'll tear and leave a bit, but just in the normal run of things, they don't leave any lint behind. So one to put the polish on and one to take it off, and they work really well. Well, that was it from me for this time, so until next time, goodbye for now.
Hey guys, I'm in the middle of restoring an old career Les Paul style guitar for a friend of mine, and it has all the chrome hardware stuff and everything, and he wanted that out, and he wants all black hardware. Now, one of my pet peeves used to be, how do I get the bushings out, or the bushings, I'm not sure the pronunciation, without actually damaging the finish or the wood or whatever? And I'm sure you'd like to know too. And I'm glad you asked. Here's how. So what you do is you take a screw, or in this case a nail that is large enough so it doesn't fall over in the cavity. Just drop it in the cavity, and then you take the original screw. In this case it's for the tailpiece, it doesn't matter because it's the same thread width, and then you screw it in as far as it will go, which is probably not far because there's already the nail in there, and we should be able to remove the bushing without too much trouble. There she comes.
Hello, my name is Lars, and in this video we are going to talk about why multiscale instrument. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room. If you think the multiscale instruments are things of today, you're kinda wrong. This is a trouble. This is an instrument of the lute family that was in use in the late 16th century. But we all have all kind of multiscale instruments. An harp guitar is a multiscale instrument. A double neck guitar is a multiscale instrument. Every instrument that has more than one scale length to increase its range is a multiscale instrument. And there is the reason why multiscale instrument exists, because player always want the widest range possible. But if I take a guitar of a normal scale length of 25.5 inches and I put two more strings there to make it an A string, it will not work properly, because now the two lower strings are kind of sloppy. It's hard to make it work. You need to be very careful around them to make it sound good, not even great, just good. So it's a lot of work. And the first answer to this problem was just make it longer. So they were born A string guitar with a 27-inch scale length. But still you have a problem, because yes, now that lower register works, but the higher register, too much tension. Now there is no sustain, they're very thin, the sound is not great, so you need to change your pick motion when you work around the higher register compared to the lower register. Basically, it's a lot of work to make it sound good. And that is why we make multiscale instrument. Instead of just one scale length, why not we choosing two? One for my higher register, which in this case is 25.5 inches, and one to my lower register, which is now 27 inches. Now you have the benefit of both, because the string have the same tension, you don't have to change the picking way, it's easy to make this sounds great, you don't have to put a ridiculous thicker gouge here, you don't have to make it super thin here, it just works better. Also, there are another couple of points on why multiscale works. For example, the fact that the fan will actually move nicely in the way that you move your hand on the neck, and there is the cooler fraction, because this is 10 times cooler than a normal instrument. Let's face it, multiscale are great. Now in the next episode we are going to talk about another thing where I saw a little bit of confusion, which is the parallel frets, and I will see you there.
Right then, so what was the product that made everything possible that I mentioned in my last appearance on Luthiers Lunch Break? Well, before I get into that, I just want to show you the back of a Seymour Duncan Blackout. Can't really show them you because they're in the Angel of Death, but as you can see here, this is a newer model. It looks different to what I have. However, the one thing that has stayed the same is that 3-pin connector. Now, for those of you out there that know EMG pickups, it is the exact same 3-pin connector that comes on majority of their active pickups. And it turns out that the founder of EMG, Rob Turner, is more than happy for other companies to use that connector, clearly as Seymour Duncan have done. Now, you're probably asking yourself, Scott, why is that so important? Why you keep going on about this 3-pin connector? Well, the product that I found was EMG's solderless 2-pickup conversion kit that I bought from Guitar Amp Keyboard, and it is so simple and so easy. All you need to do is solder a switch. But if you want to go that extra step further, you can actually buy a solderless EMG switch. Now, here we are looking at the website. As you can see, there are so many options available. You've got everything from active, passive, 3-pickup, but we just need to focus on this one here. This is the one that I bought, and the 3-pin connector wire, which is described as the pickup wires here, are really important. But it comes with everything. It comes with all the coax cables, the pots that you need, the stereo output jack, and it literally gives you the capability of doing 2 pickups with 2 volume and 2 tone if you want to. Now, these instructions are absolutely fantastic. They're so easy to understand, and as you can see here, this is what I mean about the 3-pin connector. It is so key and so important that is what made everything possible. Yeah, fair enough, I have switched out to an 8160 combo, but that's just me experimenting and doing different things. But when it came to changing, all I literally had to do was unplug that wire, take the pickup out, and that was it. Everything was done. I do wish that this cavity was a little bit bigger. Amazingly, the battery and everything fits in here, but it's a little bit snug, so I really wish I had a battery cavity. But honestly, this really did make me fall back in love with guitar, and it really snowballed into everything else that I did after this point. Now, the guitar I worked on after this is something really unique that I want to talk about, but that's going to be coming in my next appearance. So be sure to subscribe to Devil & Sons YouTube channel, follow along, and I will talk to you guys very soon.
The Guitar Builders Collective is a group of like-minded people from all around the world at different stages of their guitar building journey. You can join us over on our forum to seek advice or share tips on guitar building processes, materials and tools, or just to share your builds. On YouTube, we have a regular podcast of guitar building chat where you can join the live stream or watch back on past episodes. Our Instagram page shares posts of members' builds and links you direct to their accounts. And for those of you on Facebook, we've got a private group that you can join, share and chat along with. The Guitar Builders Collective is a welcome and open space for all, so do pop by and say hi.
Table has always terrified me.
Yeah.
I've said more than once on camera, when I'm connected to the thing that's, got the spinning blade, when something goes wrong, it's, I've got a hold of it. When I'm not attached, when I'm attached to the thing that's getting torn up, it's just terrifying.
Yeah.
And the router I've got in a table, it sounds like a damn Cessna taking off. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
The bandsaw, it wouldn't scare me to lick the blade while it was running. I just
yeah. I think the router that I've got in my table's probably like yours, Scott. It's it was like my granddad got the table in the late 80s, probably early 90s. And I think it's the original router that he used it there, but it doesn't have the slow start or the soft start motor. You just, when you turn it on, it's going at maximum speed like instantaneously, and the whole thing kind of like shakes for that first second as it goes. Like, I'm slowly thinking of alternatives.
But it's terrifying. Routers in general, I mean, it's just wow. Yeah, I have a very, very healthy respect for most of my tools, except the bandsaw. I have zero fear of it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think I'm the same.
An accident, I can't imagine how one happens. I don't know. That particular ruler just happens to be one that I inherited from my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
So more than once I've had to re-glue the cork to the back of it. It starts to come loose once in a while. But it's very thin, but that cork, it gives it a little bit of traction so it doesn't slip so much.
Routers I've been lucky with, they've just kind of fallen my way. So when I started, I bought like a cheap sort of small one. The one in the router table I've got, it's an old Triton, the router table and table saw that was my granddad's from like the 1980s. And that's still got, and that's still got his, he had one of the big industrial routers in there. So that's never come out of that one. That one just stays there. And then the one I was using for a long time was one that, a friend sort of just gave to me when they were cleaning out a garage or didn't need it anymore.
I inherited a fair number of tools from my dad, and one of them is a radial arm. That's in earlier videos I used a lot, but in the move it got a little dinged up, and I need to get things set up, and it's just it's work, and it just sits there collecting shit now. So I use the bandsaw for whatever, and I really need to get that thing set up though. But a radial arm, his baby was a $10,000 table saw, and the drill press, the pillar drill, were three big nice things that I inherited from him. So otherwise I wouldn't have much in the way of tools. I bought me a decent bandsaw, a 14-inch. I can't live without that.
Was using a lot of the clamps that I was using were ones from my granddad or dad that they had when they cleared out their sheds or didn't want them anymore. And a lot of those were cheap ones from garage sales that they picked up. And probably like a year or two ago is when I probably went out and bought my first sort of set of reasonable quality ones. Not that there was anything wrong with the ones I had, but occasionally they'd be a bit crooked or bent or something would slip. So I've got I think we've all probably got a ton of cheap clamps. And
so my dream would be to have the dusty shed. So that's where all the sanding and the cutting happens, and then I'll have a shed specifically for the chemicals and 3D printing and painting, and a different shed for something else, electronics. It would be fantastic. But every once in a while I have to go around with a vacuum cleaner and clean it all up, put all the tools back, and start the next job.
See, again, I'm the total opposite. I actually enjoy the fact that my entire floor is just covered with crap. I just
I have to say I enjoy it when it's dirty in my space, because it gives me the opportunity to spend an hour cleaning. And I often find in my hour cleaning, I can do that when I've got something I can't resolve, something like trouble with a build. That takes me to like another meditative space to sort of come up with the solution.
I've got the same thing. Yeah, definitely. When I'm cleaning up, it resets everything ready for the next job, the job you're putting off.
I've got an dust extractor that goes into a metal bin, and I always think I'm going to open it up and it's going to have like layers, like archaeology layers of the different guitars I've built. It just seems to mix into a general brown.
Just general filth.
Are you looking for an excuse to build a guitar? Or do you just want to be part of the community and see other people's builds? Why not take part in the Yurs Cup? It's a community build-along where anyone can take part by simply sharing your builds either as photos or videos on social media and using the hashtag Yurs Cup. The build-along is named after Jürgen Zoller of Zoller Guitars, a valued member of the Guitar Builders Collective who regularly commented on other people's builds, giving them encouragement and ideas and helping to start conversations. The whole point of this build-along is not a competition, but to grow the community, to make online friends, to share ideas and inspire others. By following the hashtag Yurs Cup, You can see other builds and engage in conversations in the comments section. You can add your content and get feedback from others. This year's competition ends on the 23rd of April, with next year's one starting the day after. At the end of April, we at the Guitar Builders Collective will be asking you to send us some photos of your guitar, even if it's not finished. And then over on our Instagram page, we will be sharing the submissions from everybody, giving everybody a chance to see your work, to go follow your social media pages, and to engage in conversation with you, as we hope you will with them. Perhaps you've already started a build and you want to share what you've done with others. Well, just start using that hashtag now. Jürgen was a friendly and supportive guy, and to help commemorate him, this competition will be friendly and supportive too. If you want to, you can buy a Zola Guitars t-shirt, the proceeds of which go to leukemia charities, or even make a small donation yourself. Wearing the t-shirts will help spread the word of the competition too. But you can do that by sharing this post and others on your social media, in your forums, and with anyone you know that might be interested. Everyone is welcome, and if you're stuck for inspiration, this year we have an optional theme: use what you've got. You can find out more via the Guitar Builders Collective forum, the Instagram page, or our Facebook group.